it's Amanda over at AmandaReads, and today I'm coming to you with my June wrap-up and July TBR. This is a little bit of a different location, but that's because the library is like 90 degrees. In the month of June, I actually managed to complete 5 books, 2 of which were audiobooks and 3 of which were physical books. The first book I finished in the month of June was Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, and I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I was honestly a little bit let down by this, but really only because I had such high expectations. A couple months ago, I actually listened to The Diviners again and lowered my star rating, I think, to like a 4.5 instead of 5, because I noticed that Libba Bray would go off on these tangents of fine details, which was great, but at some points it was just a little too much and I started to get bored because it was taking away from the plot of the story. I found the same thing to be true this time around with Lair of Dreams, and I felt like we also deviated from the action, which kind of left me disappointed. I thought that this book was a little bit too long and that if some of that filler had been cut out, it would have been a perfect length. I feel like the very end of this book had a lot of action, which is exactly what I feel like happened with The Diviners. So at the very end, you're so into it and you just want to jump into the next book, which is exactly what happened. So although I only gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, I am really looking forward to picking up the next book. The next book I picked up in the month of June was The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I loved the beginning and the ending of this book, but I sometimes felt like the middle dragged a little bit. At the time I was reading though, I was also in kind of a reading slump, so I'm not sure if it was just me while I was reading it or if the book really did lag a little in the middle. The ending of this book destroyed me, but not enough to make me cry. There was one character in this book that I really disliked. I felt like he was supposed to be kind of like a character that we loved, but I really didn't, and maybe that's how Mindy wanted us to feel, that we don't really like him that much, but that was Jack. I didn't like the way he interacted with another character named Branley. I didn't like the way he thought about her. I feel like it was an accurate portrayal of a teenage boy's thoughts and actions, but it just really bothered me for some reason because even towards the end of the book, he hadn't redeemed himself. And I didn't feel like he ever did redeem himself, so I was left just kind of not really caring what happened to him after the book ends. He just really frustrated me, but again, I feel like that's what teenage boys do, so I feel like it was accurate, I just didn't like it. It really is no reflection on the book. I really enjoyed the book. Next, I picked up an audiobook called The Magnolia Story, and this is by Chip and Joanna Gaines, who are the people that are on that show on HGTV called Fixer Upper, if you're into shows like that. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, but I felt like it was not really a rateable book because it's nonfiction, but it's almost like sitting down and hearing stories told by a friend. I would recommend the audio version because Chip and Joanna actually tell the stories themselves, and I think it makes it a little more authentic. Overall, this book just managed to make me love Chip and Joanna even more, which I didn't know was possible. It was just nice to hear how humble and grateful they are for everything that they have. And like I said, it was just kind of like a casual walk down memory lane, and I really enjoyed it, and it was really short, so it was just a nice little thing to get through. The next book I picked up was a book that I was sent for free in exchange for an honest review, and that was New York Actually by Sarah Morgan. I know I've mentioned before in previous videos that I am a member of the Sarah Morgan US review crew. This book was actually a continuation of the previous 3 books I read, which were part of the From Manhattan with Love trilogy, or so I thought, but it's actually now a series. In this 4th book, kind of starts a new spin-off. So you still get some of the old characters making cameos in the book, but we're focused on a new set of main characters. Sarah Morgan has said herself that she always writes a happy ending. So when you pick up one of her books, you know that the 2 main characters are going to end up together and they're going to be in love. I have a little bit of a hard time getting into the books at first because I already know what's going to happen at the end. So she has to do a little bit of working to get me into it, but after about 200 pages, I'm always intrigued because there's always some hiccups along the way that pop up, so it's nice to read about that. This particular installment of the series focuses on Daniel, who's a divorce attorney, and Molly, who's an advice columnist. They always go running in the park in the morning and they notice each other, and Molly has a dog named Valentine, and Daniel wants to impress her and find a way to talk to her, so he actually borrows a dog from his sisters who have a dog walking business, and he takes this dog every morning and pretends it's his dog, and he finds a way to talk to Molly. Neither one of these characters are really interested in a committed relationship, and it kind of starts off as like both of them just find the other one attractive and wondering like what a hookup with them would be like, and then it somehow unexpectedly from both of them turns into a real relationship. Overall, if you're a fan of happy-go-lucky romance, you should definitely pick up Sarah Morgan's books. The final book I read was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I finally did it because I just purchased A Court of Wings and Ruin when it came out, and so I was like, you have no excuse not to start this trilogy. So I did, and I finished ACOTAR in June, and it was great, and of course I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This was my first experience with Sarah J. Maas. I'm sure you know what this book is about, but if you don't, I'll give you a quick synopsis. This is about a girl named Feyre, and she's out hunting one day and she accidentally kills what she thinks is an animal, but it's actually a fairy. To atone for this murder, she has to go live in the fairy world and leave the human world behind. All her life she's been told about how horrible the fairies are and how poorly they treat humans, and so she thinks she's going to be kept as a slave. But she's actually kind of pleasantly surprised by what she finds waiting for her in the fairy world. This book was very easy to get through. I was sucked in, I wanted to know what happened, I loved all the characters, I thought all the twists and turns were awesome, and I just kept flipping those pages. It was definitely a page turner. So if you're considering picking up ACOTAR, I definitely recommend it. Now we're going to move on to my July TBR, and I know we're almost at the end of July. What am I waiting for with this video? I don't know, I've been really lazy. So I am currently reading 3 books right now, and I need to finish all of them by the end of the month, and I'm pretty sure those are the only books I will read this month, considering that it's the 19th of July already. I have recently joined on Goodreads the Random Books Monthly Book Club, which is co-hosted by Jay over at The Awkward Bookworm and Dylan from Dylan the Reader 5, and they both have YouTube channels. And the book that we are reading this month is Queens of Geek by Jen Wild. I picked this up, and so far I am a whopping 11 pages in. Like, stop the presses. I've read 1 chapter. From reading that 1 chapter, I know that this is going to be super easy to get through. I feel like I could fly through this in less than a day, like maybe 2 hours. So this is the book I'm kind of waiting until I finish the other 2 first to actually get to this. The next book I'm reading is Accomack, or A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 2nd book in the Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy. Now, I have a tragic story about this book. This book would be finished by now. I am 399 pages in, and this would have been done, except my fiance told me I could bring this with me on a canoe trip to read, and then I flipped the canoe. I went down in that water with my hand up like this with that book, trying to keep it safe, and it was too deep, and I could not find my footing, and Accomack went all the way under the water, fully submerged. Not once, not twice, about 4 times by the end of the trip, just because of all the water that was in the canoe. And yeah, needless to say, I tried to read it, but it literally fell apart. I didn't know that if a book got submerged, it will literally disintegrate. I mean, the spine peeled off, the covers fell off, the pages all ripped. There was nothing I could do. I went to Barnes & Noble the day I destroyed my copy, and they said that because the paperback has come out, they no longer carry the hardcover. And I couldn't just buy a paperback and have it not match. Needless to say, I ordered it off Amazon. It came 2 days later, but I haven't really been picking it up that much. I think I just got so discouraged from murdering the first copy, I just need to pick it back up, because once I pick it up, I fly through it. And the last book I'm currently reading is Heaven and Earth by Nora Roberts. I am buddy reading this with Fiona over at Reads and Eats. We are attempting to read 5 chapters a week to get it done in a month, and we are going to do a live show in the month of August. So those are the 3 books I'm currently reading in July, and the books that I managed to finish in June. I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to pick it up anymore in July because I have a lot going on, but hey, who knows? You'll find out hopefully sooner than this next month. So thanks for watching. I will see you soon in another video. Bye guys!